Hey guys! So, as a kid, when I first got into drawing, I created two characters, Emmy and Moon, and these characters stuck by me for years. If you're subscribed to the channel, you might even be familiar with these characters, as I have mentioned them in previous videos, most notably, the Cringe reviewing my drawings videos. I drew Emmy and Moon so much growing up that they would appear in most of the drawings I showed in those videos. Plus, the fact that I was cringe reviewing those drawings tells you everything you need to know about Emmy and Moon. In this video, I'm going to try and explain these two characters the best I can. Why am I choosing to do this? Because honestly, I think it'll be funny, and also fun to look back on Emmy and Moon, to see their personalities, comics, drawings, and stories I put them into. Because they weren't just a part of one story, I used them for whatever story was relevant in my child brain at the time. So, this will be a fun journey of my characters, Emmy and Moon. First of all, and most importantly, we have to cover Emmy and Moon's personalities, as we need to know who they are as characters before we get into the drawings, comics, and stories about them. Going off of this wondrous illustration of Emmy, we can understand that she's outgoing, loud, positive, and gullible. We can also see she's fond of using the DreamWorks movie face. I put her in this facial expression more than once. Like, to the point, Emmy had DreamWorks character potential. Anyways, going back to Emmy, she was the type of character that's bold, fun, dramatic/emotional, and at times she came off as annoying to others. But even so, you'd still want to be around her presence. Going off another wondrous illustration, but this time for Moon, we can see that he's serious, secretly sensitive, clever, and that he gets jealous. And without fail, every drawing of Moon has him with the same emotionless, almost sad-looking face expression. Moon was the type of character that was quiet, wouldn't show his emotions to others, and used his brain over his heart when making decisions. When putting Emmy and Moon side by side, we can see a clear difference between the two characters, personality-wise. Emmy would be super excited whenever she saw Moon, and Moon would pretend he didn't care, when he secretly did care about Emmy. She would annoy him, talk his ear off, follow him around everywhere. Honestly, the more I write about these two, the more I think Moon should have gotten a restraining order for Emmy. I remember child me thinking I was so smart for making these two characters opposites, especially given the fact these two were love interests for each other, like a opposites attract kind of relationship. I thought it was brilliant, even though it's been done a million times before. Also, I haven't mentioned it yet, but Emmy is a dog, and Moon is a cat. You honestly wouldn't be able to tell what animals they were, if it weren't for their tails. Emmy's got a bushy dog's tail, and Moon's got a long cat tail. If you only saw Emmy and Moon from the waist up, you would have no idea what animals these two were based on. I think it's because the ears are so weird. It maybe works for Moon, maybe, as he's a cat. But Emmy just looks horrible with these ears. A lot of people assumed she was a bunny because of how I drew her ears, and I remember as a kid I would be annoyed whenever someone said that, but now I can't blame anyone, as I totally see where they were coming from. Before we move on from these drawings of Emmy and Moon, you might have noticed something I haven't yet addressed. Underneath their names it says regular form. What could that entail, you might ask? Well, when I drew Emmy and Moon, I had planned for them to be a part of a larger story than just a slice-of-life romance. Regular form meant their regular animal self, because they could also become dragons. Dragons that have powers to help save their city from whatever evils are trying to take over it. Emmy would have been a wind or weather-powered dragon, just going off of this drawing I made for her. Unfortunately, I never drew Moon as a dragon, so I'm unsure how he would have looked like, or what powers he would have had as a dragon. The story idea might sound interesting, but just know, I was definitely trying to rip off Miraculous Ladybug in my own way. But either way, it's funny to think I was going to put these two in that kind of a story. Next, I started putting Emmy and Moon in a variety of comics. These didn't have any relation to the previous dragon story, and they were purely just slice-of-life comics. It was around this point that Emmy's ears started to become more floppy and dog-like. Emmy also owned a pet mouse named Dusty, and I completely forgot about this. I had to find these comics on my old iPad mini, so I hadn't seen them in years. I will say, Emmy and Moon's dynamic in these comics were funny. Emmy would always end up being stung by whatever comments Moon said back to her, and it would result in some sort of comedy. Although, other than that, these comics didn't really stand out, and honestly, they were a bit mediocre. It was also around this time that I created a traditional comic book for Emmy and Moon. As most of my content for them was digital art, this is the one thing I did on paper. The story is all over the place, probably one of the worst, cringiest things I've ever wrote, and that's exactly why I'm going to share it in this video. First of all, I have no idea why the cover page is Emmy and Moon both crying, and from the seams of it, all scratched up. Doing the two little lines all over the body was something I do a lot back then, but looking back, it looks really bad and messy. Anyways, I'm going to read through the comic book, essentially cringe reviewing it, and this will be hard to do, considering how much embarrassment I get from it. Even though I was a kid, it still makes me cringe to look back on. But here we go. Chapter 1. My name's Emmy. I always wonder what the future will bring me. I've always wanted to become a superhero, or someone who everyone admires. But mostly, I want to make a friend. I can come off as weird, different.
She's strange.
Oh, so I'm usually alone. My dad is always there for me, though. As for my mom, she went missing. I think about her every day, and just doing that makes my days great. Chapter 1 starts out pretty normal. It's basically just Emmy talking about who she is and her life in a cringy way. Although, trust me, the story gets even more cringe. Chapter 2. I was the last one standing. At that moment, I knew what I had to do, so Emmy, stop daydreaming in class. Sorry. So you'll have to find a partner for this project. As long as you do stuff, I don't care who. A partner for what? Oh, why was I daydreaming? Partners!
But why him?
Now I have to do this all on my own. Get a partner!
No, I only work alone.
That's Moon. He's also a loner, but he's still popular in general. Why?
I hate people.
Fine! You're with Emmy, Moon. Chapter 2 is basically just setting up the character dynamic of Emmy and Moon, and from this chapter, you'd assume it's just a slice of life story, where they have to work together in a project. But you'd be so unfortunately wrong. Chapter 3. No! I can't be partners with Moon! He'll think I'm stupid! I'd rather do it alone! Wah! Whatever the project is anyway. No.
Emmy?
Be strong!
Hurry up. We have to focus on the project.
He's right. Sorry.
It's okay, but I really do hate people, so we will not be communicating at all. Hope that's clear.
But isn't it a group project? You have to have teamwork for it to work.
Wait, what? The lights are back on. She's not here. She's so stupid, I freaking hate her. Hey, you. You can't see me. You are a part of the inner demon race. You serve almost no justice or kindness. You would work well with us. We just need your agreement. What the beep is this beep? I have to deal with my own beep problems. So go away. So the cat gets some skin. I guess I'll have to come out then. Sup. Sorry for being a creep there. Apparently I've been fired. My boss sent me to find you to give you the position as my last task. So, you want to be cool, I get powers?
This isn't even the end of Chapter 3, but so much just happened here. How did it go from Emmy and Moon having to work together in a project to Moon becoming a part of the inner demon race? Whatever that entails? Who's this random character trying to sign up this middle schooler to be a demon? Why is Moon swearing so much in this chapter? Like, actually, what is happening? This story is so random. But I should probably continue with the rest of Chapter 3 before concluding my final thoughts.
New partner? Yay! I'm so happy to have a new partner. My name is Spike, by the way. I work for Angelic Team. I basically fight demons or whatever, but now we will together. And you're cute. Bonus for me.
Oh my god, like a superhero? That's my dream! I can't believe that no, that's not okay. I don't want a partner. I like attention, okay? With a partner, you split that all in half. The glory, the fame. Can't I just do it alone? And that's where this comic book ends. Again, chapter 3 was such a random mess of writing, and it's likely the reason I stopped making more panels for this comic. The character named Spike would later on be called Rusty, and I'll get into him later in this video, but that one line that Spike said to Emmy, I actually felt pain when I read that out. Why was I writing stuff like that as a kid? Obviously, the comic book didn't go anywhere, but from what I can read and see, it was meant to be a superhero and villain type of story with Emmy and Moon, where Emmy was the hero and Moon was the villain, and I assume they wouldn't have known their identities and whatnot. Either way, despite the cringe, it was really funny to look back on this old comic of Emmy and Moon. Eventually, I decided to step things up a notch and write about Emmy and Moon in a story. Although, I didn't make it very far. I basically wrote about their character bios for an early Emmy and Moon and a late into the story Emmy and Moon. And this was cringe to read, but for the video's sake, I must share it. Early Emmy. Emmy is a fun-loving character who always sees past the negative things in the world. She wants to make as many friends as she can and be the most popular person at the school. As she gets on a successful TV show, more people want to talk and be friends with her as she does get popular. She struggles with having the most popular guy as her boyfriend and trying to be in the cool crowd. She's just that loud, happy, unaware, positive character that seems to always have things going her way. Early Moon. Moon is a very smart person that is always on top of his schoolwork and acting career. He doesn't really care for having friends as he feels it's a distraction. He lives a very rich lifestyle and his parents always expect the best out of him. He meets Emmy in his acting career and she tries to be his friend even though he is giving clear signs that he doesn't want to be. He starts to like Emmy after a while and starts getting closer to her as the show goes on. Late Emmy. Emmy becomes smarter about who her friends are and starts to realize that not everyone can be trusted. She finds out Moon likes her all along and this causes problems with her and her current boyfriend. She is still a happy, positive person, but now she's more aware of her surroundings and what's important to her. She starts to try harder in school and being nice to the people that have always been there for her. She starts liking Moon, but things are awkward with them now. Late Moon. Moon becomes nicer and starts meeting more friends in life. Emmy finds out that he likes her even though he had no idea he did until it happened. He didn't realize what it felt like to have a crush on someone. He now feels awkward around Emmy. He knows that Emmy broke up with her boyfriend, but is worried he will mess more stuff up between the two. Honestly, this is kind of an interesting story for me to look back on. I don't even remember writing them in this way. As much as I cringed, I also could see some potential for something decent. There's definitely enough drama to create interesting conflict, and the fact that Emmy starts out wanting to meet a ton of friends and be bubbly, whereas Moon doesn't have any friends and keeps to himself, only for their future selves to swap those traits, as Emmy starts to lose trust and distance herself from people, while Moon starts to allow others into his life. It's nothing crazy, but I find it cool that young me was able to write something somewhat interesting for their bios. Although, there are some slight inconsistencies. I have no idea who Emmy's boyfriend was supposed to be in this story, and I was a bit confused on why future Moon's bio said Emmy had broken up with him, but future Emmy was still dating him in her bio. It's also kind of weird to think Moon would be acting, considering his personality. Either way, it's funny to look back on. At a certain point, I tried to make Emmy and Moon into a more chibi style, and also added a new character named Rusty. From what I can see, he was a dog. He would have been very lively and full of himself, but I literally only made one comic in this chibi style before going back to my current style for my characters. So Rusty was non-important whatsoever. This is when another, third character came into the mix called Zero, basically replacing Rusty, as Zero was practically the same character personality-wise. Zero is a crocodile, and please don't ask why I drew him with fur. I would do that with all my reptile characters when I was a kid. Anyways, from this point on, Emmy and Moon weren't just a duo, they were now a trio with Zero. And honestly, I think adding Zero to my comics made them even funnier than when it was just Emmy and Moon. Plus their personalities as characters were really fleshed out by this point, and even their character designs look so much better compared to how they originally looked. And most importantly, Emmy finally looked like a dog. But this is where we reach the end of Emmy and Moon's journey. It was around this point that my YouTube channel started to take off for Animal Jam content, so I put a lot of my time into working on Animal Jam videos, and even Animal Jam artwork and characters, which is what made me stop working on Emmy and Moon's comics, stop working on the stories that I write for them. I'd still draw them time to time, but it just wasn't the same. They weren't a part of a story anymore. Instead, they were old characters of mine, old characters that I'd bring back into drawings whenever I felt like it. Wait, what is this? Why is Moon with this mouse character? This is such a betrayal to Emmy! I thought Moon and Emmy were meant to be lovers. Wait, Zero? Are you also with this mouse character that Moon was just with? What's going on? Who is this random mouse? Emmy? Emmy, you're a dog on all fours now? And not only that, you're sucking up to Animal Jam HQ to get rares for their birthday event? Come on, Emmy, do better than that. Wait, is that the mouse character again with another guy? Wow, this mouse character was really friendly with everyone. Okay, jokes aside, I started drawing these characters in the most random settings. As you can tell from the artwork I just showed off of Emmy, Moon, and Zero, they didn't fit into a story anymore, so I just drew them whenever I wanted to, and however I wanted to. As to why that mouse character was paired with both Moon and Zero. Who was the mouse character, you may ask? She was actually a part of another story I had, called Rodent Royal. As you can tell, I also stopped working on that story and just drew her character for fun, which is why she's in so many drawings with my other characters. But yeah, over the years, I've drawn Emmy and Moon less and less. And they were my very first characters I ever made. I was only a kid when I first made them, so I didn't really have much of a plan for them. I just knew I wanted to have a dog and a cat character that were opposites personality-wise. It's really fun to look back on them and talk about how they've changed and grew as characters over time. So hopefully this video was fun to watch, as that was the intent behind the video. I've made a lot of cringe review videos on artwork, but I've never really talked about old characters or stories. So if this video does well, I'd consider talking about some more old stories and characters of mine. Anyways, with that, we've reached the end of the video. It's been Liam Puppy, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all next time.